Ever feel like you could use an extra brain just to keep up with, well, everything?
It's a lot to process, that's for sure.
That's what we're diving into today, AI agents.
Ah, yes.
And no, not the Hollywood takeover kind, although
Right.
that's a conversation for another time.
Definitely.
We're talking about the software helpers
Mhm.
that are already kind of running things behind the scenes in our lives.
Yeah, whether we realize it or not, you've probably interacted with one today and didn't even know it.
Oh, absolutely. In
Oh,
fact,
no.
I was reading this article, and it was saying some companies are using these AI agents to, like, analyze market trends and even predict how customers are going to behave.
It's pretty amazing stuff.
Next level.
Yeah.
So for those of us who, maybe can't code our way out of a paper bag,
Right?
let's break it down. What actually is an AI agent?
Well, imagine you give a task to a computer program,
Okay.
but instead of telling it how to do it, you give it a goal.
Interesting.
The AI figures out the best way to make that happen all on its own. It's autonomous problem solving.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, that super organized friend we all have. The one who plans the perfect vacation without breaking a sweat.
I know that type. Yep.
Except it's software and it's making decisions based on what it's learning, not just blindly following a list.
Exactly. It's not some far-off thing, by the way. Think about self-driving cars. Those are AI agents in action.
Oh, that's true.
They're not just on a pre-programmed track. They're analyzing data every millisecond, making decisions to navigate traffic, avoid obstacles, get you where you need to be.
Okay, I have to admit, that is cool, but it's a little hard to wrap your head around. How can a bunch of code just decide things? It seems like, I don't know, almost sci-fi.
Yeah. It's all about the data and the algorithms. See, these AI agents, they have these key parts: architecture, agent function, and agent program. Think of the architecture, like, I guess, the hardware, right?
The brain, almost.
Exactly. The agent function is the blueprint.
Okay.
And then the agent program, that's like the actual expert putting it all together.
So it's like a digital brain, but with different parts working together.
That's a good way to put it.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
But how does this work in real life? What are some examples?
Well, let's take those customer service chatbots everybody's always talking about.
Ugh, don't get me started.
Right. But instead of just giving those canned responses, they can actually look at your question, pull up your history, suggest solution that actually fits your problem.
That's a game changer if they work, I guess. What about something a little less obvious?
Think about online shopping.
Oh, always.
Those recommendations you get, you might also like,
Yeah.
those are AI agents analyzing your past purchases, your browsing, trying to predict what you'll want next.
It's like having a personal shopper in the cloud.
Exactly.
That's both really cool and kind of creepy,
You hit it on the head. That mix of super convenient and also, how do they know that? That's what's got people talking about AI agents.
It's wild.
Mm.
But to actually build these things, that's got to be super complex, right?
Oh, for sure. Building a sophisticated AI agent, that is not for the faint of heart. You need a lot of knowledge, serious computing power, and you have to figure out how to translate what we want into something a machine can actually understand.
So it's not just coding, it's like teaching them to think.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting and potentially a little tricky.
Okay, so we've talked about the how of AI agents, but what about the why? Why should we care?
In the simplest terms, AI agents, they could totally change how we live and work.
Okay, but how? Give me an example, something concrete.
Let's say healthcare. Imagine an AI agent, but it can analyze medical images like X-rays, MRIs, but way faster and more accurately than a human could.
Okay, so that speeds things up, but
Faster diagnoses, earlier treatment, maybe even saving lives because you caught something sooner.
that's huge.
Yeah.
But this applies to more than just healthcare, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're already seeing it. Finance, catching fraud, customer service that's actually there 24/7, even education, personalizing what kids are learning.
It's like having a team of, I don't know, super-powered interns working around the clock. But with all these possibilities, how do we even make sense of the different kinds of AI agents?
Good point. It's not one size fits all.
Right.
Think of it like we've got this toolbox, and each AI agent, it's a different tool for a specific job.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So what tools are we working with here?
Well, the simplest one, it's called a simple reflex agent. It's all about following rules. It sees the situation and reacts, but in a predictable way every time.
So the rule followers, the ones who never improvise.
Exactly. Great for basic tasks, filtering spam, simple customer service stuff. But they don't stray from the script.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What about something a little more adaptable?
That's where model-based reflex agents come in. These ones, they actually have like an internal model of the world.
Oh, interesting. So they're not just reacting to what's happening right now.
Right. They're using that model to make a better decision. They're trying to think ahead a little bit.
And do they get better at that over time?
Yep. Every new situation, they update their little model. Always learning, adapting.
Pretty cool, but that model has to be accurate to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're working with bad info.
Very true. Which is why we have goal-based agents. These ones are all about achieving a goal, whatever it takes.
The overachievers of the AI world.
Exactly. They're looking at all the options, weighing them, adjusting as they go. Really good for things like, I don't know, playing a complex game or managing a portfolio, stuff like that.
Okay, now we're getting into some seriously powerful stuff. Anything else?
We've also got utility-based agents. Think of them as the ultimate optimizers, I guess.
Always finding the best possible anything.
They assign a value to different outcomes, and then they pick the one with the highest value, always trying to maximize.
So that's how they get you the cheapest flight with the best deal on that thing you've been wanting.
Exactly. And then we have the ones that get people really excited, the learning agents.
Okay, what makes them so special?
They're all about constant improvement, not just rules, but actually learning from every experience.
So they're the AI version of that friend who always knows the coolest new restaurant or band before anyone else.
Perfect analogy. The more data they get, the better they get.
It's impressive, but I have to admit, a little unnerving too.
Right.
Like, it's one thing for a computer to beat me at chess, but to predict my taste in music.
That's the power of a learning agent. Oh, and one more type. Hierarchical agents.
Laid on me.
Think of it like a team of expert agents. Each one has its own specialty, but they work together under, like, a main agent.
So like a well-coordinated team in the real world. You've got your designers, your builders, your managers, all working towards the same goal.
Exactly. Incredible potential there, because now you can tackle these super complex problems.
So it's clear, AI agents could change, well, almost everything. But we have to talk about the downsides.
Right, because there are always two sides to every coin.
It's easy to get caught up in all the cool stuff these AI agents can do.
It is, but
we got to talk about the potential downsides, right?
yeah, we've got to make sure this tech works for us, not the other way around.
Exactly.
And one of the big ones, honestly, is making sure they're built with, like, good values.
Okay, because...
We're basically teaching them to think, but what if the way they think is messed up because of the data we give them?
Ooh, that's a good point. Like that saying garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. If we're not careful, those AI agents, they could make things worse, not better.
By, like, being biased or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, imagine an AI that's supposed to be showing you job ads, but it's learned from old data that's full of, well, you know, not very fair stuff.
And then it shows people the wrong jobs. Or it doesn't show the right people the jobs.
Exactly. Or think about those social media algorithms.
Oh, boy.
If they're not designed right, they could end up just showing you more of what gets you riled up, even if it's not true.
Okay, so it's not just the data. It's also the goals we set for these AI agents, right?
You got it. If we're not careful what we tell them to do...
They could end up doing it too well.
Yeah, basically. Optimizing for all the wrong things, even if we didn't mean for that to happen.
So what do we do? How do we make sure AI is a force for good?
We got to build in safeguards. We need transparency so we can see what data they're using and ways to hold them accountable, you know, make sure they're not going off the rails.
And that's on top of all the technical challenges of actually building these things.
It's a lot. This is brand new territory, and it's changing so fast.
So where does that leave us? What should people listening be thinking about?
Honestly, the biggest thing is don't be afraid to ask questions. AI, it's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used in good ways or bad ways.
So you got to make sure we're using it the right way.
Exactly. It's on all of us to figure this out.
That's a great point to end on.
It's been really interesting diving into this with you.
Likewise. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of AI agents. We've covered a lot of ground, from how they work to the challenges we need to address. But one thing is clear. AI agents, they're here to stay. So until next time, stay curious, keep asking questions, and as always, keep diving deep.